Aloha, y'all. It is Saturday, Saturn's Day, ruled by Saturn, the 12th of December. It is a white spectral mirror guided by endlessness. It's a heart chakra day. It's the last day of this side of the calendar. I'm imagining that's significant at some level. A new overtone or something. Yeah, rhythmic moon of equality starts tomorrow. So today's the last day of overtone moon of radiance. In any event, that's according to Dream Spell. Check that shit out. It's fascinating. Mayan-based kind of New Age stuffs. It's Anahata chakra, the heart chakra. Yam, YM. Do the mudras, do the mantras. Do all the chakras if you can. But ultimately, today is a heart chakra day, so focus in on that energy and notice the magic that ensues. I forgot to pull up what the astrology is, so while I'm doing that, let me get some cards. Hopefully, y'all are doing well and enjoying it. It was 5 degrees when I woke up today. It's been snowing here in Colorado, but minus 15 Celsius centigrade, or however that is. Very cold. Not fun. So, Sun is in Sagittarius, Moon is in Scorpio, Mercury's in Sagittarius, Venus is in Scorpio, Mars is in Aries, Jupiter and Saturn are in Capricorn, almost conjunct. On the 21st, there'll be the Great Conjunction. Uranus in retrograde in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, North Node is in Gemini, and that means that the Sun was recently, if not exactly, conjunct. It's 21 degrees Sun Sag. The Gemini North Node is in 19 degrees, so that's within 2-3 degrees. It's conjunct. So we've been going through a lot of purging, probably physically, emotionally. I've been doing a lot of stuff myself. I know my fiance is not feeling great, neither is her Nan, and I think that has a lot to do with the astro Dow weather more than not. So I actually just got to FaceTime with my niece and sister for a second. That was nice. Let's go ahead and pull a card for the day, this Saturn's Day. What wants to pop? We have the Hierophant. All right. So, the Hierophant is exoteric knowledge. Very in line with Sagittarius, Sun, and Mercury, right? This is about truth with a capital T. The Hierophant. It is. Where you at, bro? Here it is. It is as follows. The Hierophant, High Priest, caretaker of spiritual knowledge, teaching others what you know, awakening to a greater understanding of the world, and paying attention to the details. The Hierophant, I am the teacher of universal law. The Hierophant is the guardian and custodian of religious knowledge and spiritual beliefs. A religious figure or guru, which means teacher, rabbis, another, sensei, these are all words for teacher, preserving and passing knowledge on intact. The masterful conduit of spiritual energy, he is admired and acknowledged as the teacher of God's law, the keeper of spiritual wisdom passed down through the millennia. He alone has access to this knowledge, and as the spiritual authority is master of ceremonies, choosing wisely who is initiated into the ways of spirit and spiritual governance. I have depicted the Hierophant as part man, part wolf. Very Lupin, Haley. Probably the most misunderstood of all wild animals. Wolves are seen merely as killing machines that hunt in packs, a scourge to be rid of, so much so that now most species are considered endangered. Wolves, in fact, are extremely gregarious. They mate for life, have strong family bonds, a clear clan structure, and deflect conflict where possible. Though their clans are highly organized, they are truly free spirits, a symbol of the night scene howling at the moon. They represent the lonely path of journeying within to learn and discover our inner power and strength. The wolf nature also expresses the idiom of biblical origin used to describe the deceptiveness of appearance, a kind of nature masking danger, the wolf in sheep's clothing, or the Jim and leopard printing. I'm kidding. After all, religion has been a double-edged sword, a source of conflict and a resource for peace. That's where in South Node, Sagittarius, we're dealing with like what truths are harmful and helpful. What are we clinging on to dogmatically without really knowing why? Religion has been at the heart of most violent conflicts, especially in the past 2 decades, and is worn as a badge of identity, fueling or abating conflict for political ends. The Hierophant, the channeler of male spiritual energy, can indeed bare his teeth. The flower of life, a flower-like pattern with 6-fold symmetry like a hexagon, floats above his head, a universal sacred geometry depicting the creation of existence, containing all the essential building blocks of the universe that we call platonic solids, is found all over the world, in most regions and religions and various ancient civilizations. It can be seen in temples within the Forbidden City of China, in ancient synagogues in Israel, and the Buddhist temples of India and Japan, while the oldest known examples are believed to be those present in the Temple of Osiris in Abydos, Egypt. Temples that have borne witness to the visceral rituals and ceremonies of sacred sound and sight, scented aromas, touch, and taste have been used to reinforce the stories, doctrines, and values of religion. To serve God, one is actively encouraged to live and pray either in an enclosed spiritual community or live in the secular world while choosing to pray/meditate and meet regularly in the house of God, establishing a strong social structure and the idea of, quote, belonging and, quote, contributing to the bigger group or tribe. The Hierophant calls you to investigate the existing sets of beliefs and systems that are already in place within your environment and see if they hold anything of value for you. Very resonant with the Sun and Mercury and Sagittarius with the South Node there. Like, we're dealing with structures of truth, cultural inheritances, dogmas, what holds water, what doesn't. Hierophant, or the High Priest, taking care of spiritual knowledge, teaching others what you know, awakening to a greater understanding of the world, and paying attention to the details. So, Saturn's day is the teacher of karma, and essentially, and how do we know about that? Through an exoteric outward kind of guru energy, where it's like, how do we know the Ten Commandments, Hammurabi's Code, the Eightfold Path, right? All these things. These are exoteric versions of what truth and how to get there is, according to various cultures of the world. So we've got the one of fire, I believe. So I think that's fire. Could be earth. I can't tell. I think it's fire though, but it's got a spider and an amber. Yeah, it's definitely not earth. Fire. Where are you at? Ace of fire. More Sagittarian energy, fire. And with Mars and Aries, there was another thing that just popped in there, didn't it? Mercury and Sag, Sun and Sag, Mars and Aries, right? South Node in Sagittarius. A lot of fire energy is being dealt with right now, also with water. So, keywords: new beginnings, initiative, action, conception, invention, creation, creativity, and procrastination. Key phrases are new beginnings and opportunities, just like I showed that calendar is kicking into a new cycle. That's very much what's happening astrologically in a lot of ways, right? We're ending a Saturn cycle. Oh, wow, it's very bright. Let me just tone it down a little. Well, it's a little too dark. Can we get a middle? There's something okay. All right, so new beginnings and opportunities, actively pursuing your goals, taking advantage of what's being offered, moving beyond research and planning, weaving your future into being, taking something old and making it better, breaking with tradition and offering something new, and uncertainty inspires procrastination. This is the meaning. Like all of the ace cards, the ace of fire represents the promise of new beginnings and opportunities, but unlike the other aces, this card also represents action, fire, the spirit of action. It represents the power for and the necessity of taking the initiative and actively pursuing our goals. It is about taking advantage of the opportunities we are presented with as opposed to thinking about it. Don't just be in the mental realms like Mars and Aries. Get this shit done. It is good to have a goal, to dream, and to make plans, right? So the Sagittarius archer sees a target, and he only hits the target when he releases the bow, or the arrow from the bow. But the Ace of Fire lets us know that now is the time to move beyond research and planning. It is, which can be the North Node in Gemini. We can just get so mental that we're not taking action. That's the shadow of that. It is time to take the first real steps towards getting things underway. It is time to follow through on inspiration and create. It is time to weave your future into being. Time for you to begin your active participation. The Ace of Fire also symbolizes inventiveness. Take an old idea and make it better, right? Take the truth of the past that's been inherited through generations and see how you can improve upon it, or truths of many cultures, and see how you can weave them into your tapestry of being. Take old ideas and make it better, or create something new and unique. Whatever you seek to do, you can now make it your own and imbue it with your unique perspective and imagination. Now, rather than following tradition, do something in a way that offers a new approach. South Node, right? The new approach is Gemini North Node. South Node in Sagittarius is like, that's the old tradition, the old truth, the Hierophant. And it doesn't mean we have to throw away all truths, but we have to reconstitute them, reorganize them, reimagine these things into a new culture, a global culture, an internet age culture. You are surrounded by so much potential at this moment. The Ace of Fire represents passion and excitement. It is a time full of energy and life. Take advantage of this moment and the power that it brings. So this is not about sitting on your laurels and going, I'll contemplate it. It's about taking truth and doing things with it. So, for example, I've been researching Aum, A-U-M, and it's more than just sitting around just zoning out saying Om. It's like if you start doing certain things with your solar plexus in your Anahata, your heart chakra, which is today, as well as your throat. This gets into Hinduism, which is the positive, the proton, the neutron, and the electron, which is the generator, the maintainer, and the destroyer, which is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, right? These are truths that we can reconstitute, reforge in the kiln of creativity and action. But they're ancient truths. They're truths that have been handed down through lineages, right? Basically, Hindus were way on quantum mechanics, but they spoke it in a different language and inculcated it in myth. So it's like whether Brahma and Vishnu are real things isn't really the point. They're descriptors of active principles of reality, the mechanics of reality. And one day, soon enough, we'll find that science and religion merge, and we'll have a new way of explaining reality to ourselves. Hopefully, a more accurate and less delusional end of Pisces age, right? Less kind of misty and Neptunian energy to it. More Aquarian, more Uranus and Saturn, more like this is the facts. The power of sound. I'm even talking about Om. We're talking about chakras, right? And the whole point is that this stuff can and does affect you at multiple levels, not only in cellular structure kind of resonance, but like activations through sound. Om is AUM is like the only sound you can make, and like a dog when it like yawns, it's like Om. Like everything makes the Om sound basically. I won't go into that too much right now. But Vega 20, power of sound, past timeline. Sound represents the physicalization of spiritual energy into the frequency that can be accessed in our reality, right? So it's kind of taking this hidden truth and making it actualized in the reality. And you can't just pretend, you can't just imagine sounds. You have to actually enact them with your vocal cords and your being, right? You have to do the thing. You can't just pontificate theoretically about sound. Participate with it, really. So I'll start over. Sound represents the physicalization of spiritual energy into a frequency that can be accessed in our reality. The ancient Vegans were masters of sound and used it for everything from health to warfare. The practice of chant or mantra has its origins in Vegan mysticism and has spread to many planets, including Earth. If you're receiving this card, then you've had a past experience using sound to alter consciousness. I alter my consciousness with sound, like meditations all the time, whether it's solfeggios or chakra chanting or Om, that kind of thing. And this can alter your consciousness either for positive or negative purposes. This positive skill or negative karmic control pattern is returning. Explore the power of sound as the next step in your spiritual evolution. This time stream of Vega is very ancient and is foundational for many ET cultures, including those on Earth. In the ancient past, the Vegans had a strong spiritual connection to the founders, which is card 1, and understood the structure of the universe and their role within it, right? The structure of the universe and the role within it, the flower of life, the structure of reality, and their role as a manifestation of action and potentiality. Basically, we're all sound vibrations. Quantum science and stuff like that is saying everything's vibration, but it's like silence has a role as well as sound, and we are a song of creation, the power of sound made manifest. The priest fully understood the journey. Priest, high priest, right? Card, Saturn's Day, the keeper of the law, the keeper of the rules. Priests fully understood the journey from polarity back into unity, and they did everything they could to preserve this memory for future generations. Because they understood the sacred knowledge and made a commitment to preserve it, Hierophant, they were also carriers of spiritual wisdom within our galactic family. They kept all the knowledge of the evolution of the spirit, spiritual technology, and power that lies within sound, light, and thought. They were masters of sound, including mantra, music, incantation, and tone. The teachings about the sound of Om come directly from this ancient Vedic knowledge, or Vegan knowledge, not Vedic, but very close, even etymologically there. Vegan knowledge. Vegan mysticism has influenced Earth's ancient esoteric teachings, primarily those coming from the East, such as India and Asia, as well as Western mystic traditions like Hermeticism and modern magic with a K and stuff like that. This card is a very specific one and appears only for those who have this connection too. Musicians, unite. If you are not aware of your connection to this power of sound, explore it further. I highly suggest people check it out for themselves. Don't just take my word for it. Ace of Fire, this shit. Take the truth, Hierophant card, and apply it in your life. See what happens. See the magic yourself. You will most likely discover a whole new universe of knowledge that feels natural to you, and it may be the next step in your spiritual growth. Very applicable for where I'm at. I'm tapping into a whole lot of Eastern thinking right now, but trying to apply my Western filter to it. So it's very, a lot of truth and knowledge coming through, but I need to make action. Just reading theories is one thing, but applying it to your life is another. And applying it through sound is the fundament. Everything is sound, essentially. Everything's vibration, if you want to put it that way, if it's easier for one to grok in a scientific term. So, the animal card for the day is, drum roll please, the snake. Creation, number 43. Snake. All right, so 43? Yeah. Snake. Creation. It is time to shed your skin and try something new. Ace of Fire, right? The end of that calendar. We're going into a new thing. Cycles are ending and new things are coming, right? But you like that doesn't mean it's completely loses form. There's still truth. The snake is not a bat, for example. It's time to shed your skin and try something new. Creation is your birthright. Ace of Fire. You must understand that to remain stagnant means atrophy, so do not fear your own creative flow. If you have a physical ailment, healing will occur. Shout out to Haley and her nan who are feeling ill. I hope you feel better. You are capable of big transformation. If you haven't begun, begin. Right? Venus in Scorpio, where it's like big transformation for our heart. And it's in our perception of truth, ultimately. We're going into North Node Gemini, new truths, new ways of thinking about things, but it's coming through Sagittarius energy right now and Sun and Mercury. So it's like we're learning new dogmas for our way of being and how to apply that, right? So you're your own high priest. You're the own keeper of what's true to you at some level. And then with Ace of Fire, it's saying try new things and put them into action. Don't just talk about it. So it says if you haven't begin. Right? Get it going. Ace of Fire. Mythos. The Australian Aboriginal culture is the longest continually existing culture on the planet, and so, in turn, the rainbow serpent mythos is one of the oldest creation stories in existence. The serpent mythos is a rich one, with many variations and features in art and oral storytelling that are widespread across the continent. The mythos always strongly centers on the element of water. Some believe the rainbow serpent brought water from heaven when the world was created, while others believe that in the beginning, when there was nothing on earth, the rainbow serpent cracked through the crust of the earth and began her journey to waking up all life. Now, see, that's an anthropomorphized kind of myth of science, if you want to put it that way. There was no life before water, really. It was a rock. There was volcanic activity and all this kind of stuff, right? But Earth was void of life as we know it. And then waters, whether it's coming from atmospheric condensation through cycles of, gas coming from volcanoes and condensing and creating oceans, or cracking like a deluge form from the core, whatever the case, that water is the snake in a weird way of life that allows all life, plant, animal, etc., to be what we know it to be now. As she moved and traveled, stopped and slept with her body, the rainbow serpent created gullies and gorges, mountains and valleys, and the water lines that joined them all. Once water appeared, life on earth began to flourish. All the animals, reptiles, and birds awoke and began their life cycles. The rainbow serpent created humans and gave them each tribal animal totems. Each tribe could eat whatever they wished except for their totem, which meant balance in hunting and nature, and that all had food to eat. In reality, this indicated an instruction for balanced coexistence between tribes and a need for deep connection and synergy with the land. Australia is one of the most environmentally sensitive places on the planet, and their lack of water being one of the reasons for that. The rainbow serpent asks us to recognize the preciousness of water and how we rely upon it for the continuation of life itself. Snakes are one of the most powerful symbolic animals throughout the cultures of the world. Some of the most famous mythos features serpents, including ancient Norse, whose Midgard serpent Jormungandr battles Thor at Ragnarok, the end of a cycle, right, the end of their age, and Nidhogg Naga, the dragon that sits at the base of the world tree. There is also Greek Gnostic Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail as a sign of the cycles of life and death, always continuing. It's a never-ending story. That's why even in Never-Ending Story, there's an Ouroboros kind of, I forget what it's called, but the necklace is two snakes doing an Ouroboros thing. The representation of evil and temptation in the Bible in the story of Adam and Eve, the snake, so Satan is a snake, right? The snake dance of the Hopi people and the snake-headed Medusa of the ancient Greeks. As protective divine animals, they were honored by the ancient Egyptians, the cobra especially, and Hindus and the Buddhists with the naga. Animals. Snakes are found on every continent except for Antarctica and more isolated islands such as New Zealand and some Hawaiian islands. They are ectothermic, needing to regulate their body temperature by exposure to the environment. Snakes have scales and dry skin that is cool, and they shed their skin when growing. This transformative process enables the old skin to be renewed and replaced. Very action oriented, right? It's not just talking about shedding skin; it's like doing Ace of Fire, and allows them to be free of parasites and harmful molds. So there's a health reason for this. It's not just for like no reason. Many reasons, but one is health. The molt itself even includes the snake's eyes and is normally achieved by rubbing against a log or other hard, rough object. While a proportion of snakes are venomous, this complex venom is to subdue prey and certainly not to harm humans, as we are not prey. Some venom is used in medicine for humans and is actually a kind of modified saliva injected from fangs. Other ways snakes obtain prey is by strangulation and crushing of prey by muscular coils of the snake's body. The boa constrictors are good examples of this. Magic. It would be possible to write a very thick book simply on snake magic alone, such is its variety and power. For our purposes here, use snake magic for two main intentions. First, for creation, Ace of Fire, and second, for protection. Snake energy is almost unmatched in its ability to stimulate the flow of creative forces, enable those ideas and concepts to successfully be transformed into reality, Ace of Fire. If you are stuck for ideas, lack in the flow to get things happening, or literally lack fertility in any area, call upon the snake. As for protection in so many cultures, snakes are the protectors of the truth, the keepers of the truth, the Hierophant energy, right? The truth and being guarded, the high priest. Protectors of truth and of all that is good, that flower of life symbol. If you are worried about being robbed, about another person stepping over your boundaries, or you need an energy to keep you safe, coiling snake magic is the perfect one to invoke. Symbology: snake eating its tail, Midgard serpent, cobra headpieces in Egyptian spirituality, the Naga, apple and snake, feathered serpents, dragons. Status: it ranges from critically endangered to least concerned depending on the species. So there's many types of snakes and many places in the ecological kind of life or death status. But it's protecting truth, right? Just like this guy's like, I will coil around the truth and spit my venom when I find someone's initiatorily proper, ready for it. Here's a dragon. We're talking about dragon, snake, dragon. Here's a dragon itself. And it's talking about action, initiation. Use the power of sound. We are resonant beings in a resonant universe. Try resonant frequencies. Try making music. Try all sorts of things. Do it. Experiment. Because ultimately, these are powers within us that move in the Ouroboros nature of creation. Creation is the snake. It's a never-ending story, so enjoy the fucking ride, kind of thing. Let's go ahead and get an art oracle card. Art oracle card is Jackson Pollock. All right. So, Jackson Action Pollock is how it starts, because my memory's not that bad. Jackson Action Painter Pollock danced around his canvas, one of fire, right? I was going to say wands, one of Ace of Fire. It's like he's doing action. This is very action-oriented kind of painting. It shows action, splotches of paint that you threw on there, right? Dripping paint from brushes, pouring it from cans. But much as he hit the canvas, so he hit the bottle. Early on, Pollock's wife, artist Lee Krasner, and his benefactor Peggy Guggenheim aided his sobriety and success. When Life magazine called him the best living U.S. painter in 1949, so he was called the Hierophant, the keeper of truth in painting, if you want to put it that way. Pollock couldn't take a compliment. Beleaguered by both haters and self-hatred, he abandoned his drip method, went back black and white, stopped titling his works, and numbered them instead. With Krasner out of town, Pollock drove drunk right into a tree, seriously injuring his girlfriend and killing himself and his girlfriend's friend. Right? So the Song of Creation can have tragedy in it. If only he had been kind of maintaining his energy, hope through prayer, mantra, incantation, and not just being up in his head and worried about other people. But he was at least action-oriented, action Pollock painter, Jackson Pollock. And he was a keeper of truth because a lot of the stuff he was doing was reflecting the zeitgeist. It was the beginning of modernity to post-modernity. So the quantum mechanics was being explored, and that's when, his art is very quantum mechanic, where it's like, particles kind of smashing together in a sea of, quote, chaos. So, the advice we're getting from Jackson Pollock is Meaning doesn't come with titles. Meaning does not come with titles. We're all keepers of truth. We're all the high priests. So you don't have to go to a specific teacher or guru or whatever. The age of that's kind of ending, and we're all kind of being told to be our own high priest, and it doesn't come with a title. You're not going to get a degree for this necessarily. If you're initiated on a process of initiation, and if you're not, you're still being initiated in some other kind of way, through ignorance possibly, whatever. Take the actions necessary to further yourself in the dream. Use the power of sound. Speak the right words, as Buddha would say. Sing a song. As the Psalms kind of indicate, sing a song to the Lord, right? Ohms, I'm saying use that power of sound to resonate in different ways, because you are part of creation that's experiencing itself in a very fundamentally interesting and new way, right? But don't trip out that you're a human, right? Meaning doesn't come with titles. We're more than humans. We're more than primates, relatives of primates. We're more than anything. It's really ineffable as the mystery of our being, and know that truth for yourself by being the high priest and guarding the truth with symbols, with stories, with perceptions, right? Be the caretaker of the truth. We've got Lemurian quartz, and Lemuria is an ancient time, as it predates Atlantis, right? Atlantis is kind of the scientific model. This is more like the mystics, as opposed to the Skeksis in Dark Crystal. So, Lemurian quartz. What it is, and you can quantumly entangle with this. You don't have to own it. It's pretty. What it is, Lemurian quartz is identifiable by its blushing hue and the ladder-like horizontal grooves that climb up its face. A stairway to heaven, right? Lattice grooves, stairway to heaven. High priestess, or priest rather. Listen to me misspeaking. The high priest, the keeper of the way. Its name is a shout out to Lemuria, a fabled lost continent whose highly evolved inhabitants, some far out folks insist, now live under Mount Shasta in California. Who needs it? Anyone in need of a vacation from their thoughts. Where to put it, Lemurians are like wands. Point them at a body part, friend, or another crystal that needs more juice. When to use it? Whenever someone or something you need or you love needs a zap of healing energy, which is what we were talking about earlier, snake energy being healing energy. Awaken your inner wizard. Awaken your inner wizard. And I was even saying Lupin from Harry Potter, so werewolf, he's a wizard. Awaken your inner wizard or witch and cast a spell with Lemurian quartz. It says escape your mind. Sometimes what we realize is the world, with Saturn's days, it has concrete boundaries, it has rules, right? Like gravity is real on Earth in a very particular way, on the moon in another way, and Jupiter in another way, etc. And the whole universe has different laws. There's some laws that are universal, there's some laws that are very specific to the region, but they're all ways that the action of creation, like the slithering of creation, right, operates. Whether it's a dream or not, we're not even getting into that. And one of these powers comes through sound, through vibration and resonance and tone. It's magic at a high level. Spells, you say spells, you cast spelling, magic, grammar, grimoire, a text that holds spells. So meaning doesn't come with titles. Whether you're a wizard or a witch doesn't really matter. Whether you're a high priest or a high priestess doesn't really matter. Those are titles. It's the archetype, it's the energy behind it that matters. And with Lemurian quartz, we can escape our mind, as in get out of our imaginations in a negatively polarized way and enter into the dream in a concretized way. Saturn's day. Hopefully in a loving way. Heart chakra day, like this guy, riding dolphins or whatever he's doing. So let's go ahead and play some music. It is freezing, so sorry if I'm a little cold. I might shiver, I'm realizing. And I almost just walked off with my headphones on. You'd think it's a Mercury retrograde, but it ain't. It's actually kind of similar Mercury retrograde energy, just because there's eclipse season with North Node in Gemini. So we've got the High Priest with Ace of Fire. I almost look like a shaman high priest or something. If you've ever seen the Jesus film or something, it looks almost like a rabbi, kind of, a little. So, let's play some music. My guitar's actually out of tune because it's so cold. with the cards being the High Priest as well as the Ace of Fire. It's about understanding truth, but not being so held to it that we're dogmatic and stagnant, right? Because truth is eternal, but then our perspective on truth changes, right? So this is an eternal thing, but then how we operate it with it and how we kind of spread it changes over time. But we do need to realize that we're part of a dance in creation. Action is necessary. Action of the dance of creation, the snakes writhing in the orbital fashion. The power of sound can go a long way. We're vibrational creatures in a vibrational reality, so get on the right vibe. This is where solfeggios, frequency healing, sound healing, music, this is why this stuff matters. Speaking, singing, oming, like toning. So check it out, do it for yourself. And meaning doesn't come with titles, so just because you're a white guy from America doesn't mean you can't tap into truths that are ancient and profound, right? It's just a matter of choosing to initiate through the fire, the Ace of Fire in this case. Lemurian Quartz is saying escape your mind, so get out of negative polarity of constructs into more of an experiential thing. It's one thing to see the path and think about it and discuss the path. It's another thing to walk it, right? Here's the path, truth, the Hierophant, but walk it. Don't just talk it. It's not the dance of creation is about action. It's about getting out of your ego, escaping your mind, and using the power of sound can help do that. Don't worry about titles so much because titles come and titles go. They're earned and they're energetic more than the stuff monkeys do with culture. Trust me on that. So holler for readings if you want. Love giving them. People love getting them. Podcast has been great. Check it out. Team Rabbit Hole Podcast. And ultimately know that you're initiating into a new level of truth with these eclipses. With the South Node in Sag and the North Node in Gemini, we're leaving old stories behind and going into new imaginations. But you want to do that in a way that's secure through things that are true. But don't be so dogmatic on what that truth is. There's a fundamental truth, and then like branches from a tree. And we've been arguing over the branches forever. We need to go back to the tree itself, the main truth or whatever. That we're alive, we're here together. Amen and amen. Amen, right? So, have a beautiful Saturday. I'll catch y'all later. Stay warm. I will.